I think maybe that's the biggest point because I'm unconvinced that knots versus core 30 is like the biggest threat to Bitcoin. Do I think it could be impactful, consequential? Yes, I'm open-minded to anything because again, I'm wrapping my head around this. I think that maybe more importantly, it's the precedent that we set for how easy it is for maintainers of any implementation, by the way, but core specifically as the reference implementation, to make changes somewhat unilaterally. You know, and again, like maybe I'm missing something here, and they got solid buy-in from some of the people that they felt they needed to, but to me, it seems like the what we're talking about, this push on X against it and the increase in people spinning up knots nodes. Like we have a lot of clients who, we help them, get onto core 29 or whatever in the last year. And they're coming back to us and they're saying, hey, can you help me switch over to knots,
Yep.
like voluntarily. And, maybe they're just in an echo chamber and they just think that that's the thing that they're supposed to do. But I think many are probably educated and paying attention and, they're at least seeing, one side is I don't really align with these guys. These guys seem to just generally make a lot more sense. I can get on board philosophically with them. And so I'm going to run knots, just kind of cast my vote. Not that the implementation you run is a vote. I understand this Bitcoin is not a democracy, but to have a voice to say, here's what I choose to do with that. Justin, you can comment on that. I did find that tweet though, this thread
Okay.
that you shared. And so we already talked about you're telling people how to use their money, censorship. You said that filters don't work. Well, you did kind of comment on that. You said then why do 99% of transactions occur within the op return limit, and if they don't work, why remove them? So this is, I think, the big one for me. Bitcoin will be fine with a 1,250x increase in op return, and you said Bitcoin is fine without it.
That's right.
I think that because like our company, like for us, Bitcoin is already money. We operate on a Bitcoin standard. I get paid in Bitcoin. We spend in Bitcoin. We only accept Bitcoin as payment. Um, it works, and I think the fact that like my experience working with a company that quite literally operates on a Bitcoin standard is about all the justification I need to be something pretty close to an ossification maximalist.
Hmm.
It is working. And if that begins to change and we begin to see more private channels and fewer transactions making their way through the network via nodes, and raising the op return limit becomes the solution to a truly dire problem, to me, then it seems like a very easy and relatively trivial change to make. So maybe we cross that bridge when we get there. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. Um, yeah. As you can see from that thread, I believe that all of the major arguments from that side very quickly fall apart. And again, we're asking very simple questions. How does it benefit Bitcoin as money? And what problem does it solve? If there's no consensus for it, why is this being shoved through and debate on it is squelched? And I think it's pretty clear that the answer is that shitcoiners are um, very, very excited about how much money they're going to make by bringing Ethereum style smart contracts and other technology onto Bitcoin. And so prepare for that. They've got a lot of interesting new ideas for your money and exciting features that you never asked for. And so be prepared for that because we just enabled them. So guys like Jameson Lopp, Citria, Starkware, um, Sane Code Labs, these people who are going to make a lot of money. They've already raised a lot of money. And so they have exciting new features that they have in mind for Bitcoin and your money. And we've just enabled them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So very disappointing.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. I think that's been my biggest hang up on this whole thing is just seeing, and I haven't investigated deeply, but I've talked to a handful of people about it who seem to have investigated pretty thoroughly. That there seem to be external incentives at play, um, and it's not clear to me how you could maintain objectivity. Like I think there are a lot of people probably on the core side in particular, and I'm guessing there are people who could make the same case for like Luke with Ocean and stuff, but certainly on the core side, where you should probably recuse yourself from the debate to some degree and say, hey, here's what I think. Full disclosure, I've got this side project or an association with a company or what have you. And I'm hearing a lot of either denials or silence on those sorts of topics. And
Hmm.
and again, like I don't know. I don't know what happens in these back rooms or how close the connection is between any one person and a company that they're not, gainfully employed by. But it seems like that we're owed answers as people who are trying to sift through this mess. Um,
Yeah, and again, Bitcoin Core is made up of about there's been 1,000 contributors. Um, so yeah, you can absolutely bet your bottom dollar that not all of those people like what's happening. And so it'll be really interesting to see if there's some documentation of whistleblowers who come forward. Already, we know that some developers have come over and are working on Bitcoin knots. So yeah, I it's would be very difficult to paint with such a broad brush of core. We use that term as very loosely as all those who kind of support that, uh, who support the changes in core 30. But deep down, I think that a lot of these people that I've seen, and I could mention names, but instead of being malicious, I think more than anything, they're probably young and naive. From what I've seen, they're embarrassingly economically illiterate. They do not understand Bitcoin as money. They're technocrats. They'll never be satisfied with technology. They think that better technology is the answer, and Bitcoin is completely different.